To call the meeting to order. It's 3 p.m.
We're technically supposed to be wearing masks, so.
So I don't have one, so I'm 6 feet from here.
Pledge of allegiance. We're both vaccinated.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So Tom, which one do you want to start with?
The Bakey cameras. Because Gordon has done some work, and Jamie, I know we talked about, we whittled this down by doing more in-house.
Yep.
And I wanted to follow back up on that, okay? So Gordon, can you share in 2 minutes or less kind of what you came up with?
Sure. So I basically drew up like a three-phase plan. Phase one is, the server and getting our existing stuff back online. With the server, we have some servers that were given to us probably 4 or 5 years ago from Chief Briggs, brand new servers that just had never been used, and they've been sitting in the old technology office. So I looked up the specs on them, and they're more than capable of running the camera software NVR. I do need to probably spend $600 or so to upgrade the drive so we can have storage of all the recordings and whatnot. But basically, doing a rough estimate and talking with A&B, the vendor, between licensing and their labor of getting the software installed, everything programmed, we can get our existing IP cameras up and running for around $4,000. So then phase two is the existing analog cameras, which we have about 10 of them, which include the exterior cameras. I estimated about 10 to 15,000 to get this done between the cost of the cameras, running the Ethernet wire, and then getting them all configured.
How much?
About 10 to 15,000. I am waiting on like actual quotes, but these are estimates based off of the quote we've been working off of.
Yeah.
Does that include the servers, or is that in addition to the servers?
No,
So
the
you-
server's done in phase one. So that $10,000 cost that was on the original quote gone.
You got it down to 4,000,
I got it down to free for the server.
right? Okay.
And then we just need to pay for the licensing of the existing IP cameras and the labor to get it all set up and running.
Okay, so
You
phase
would have had
one,
that either way.
What's that?
You would have had that either way.
Correct.
right,
Yeah.
how
So
do you pay
I-
for that?
So I 10,000 saved off that quote instantly with the server, minus the maybe $700 for the hard drive.
Thank you for that. So the phase one is the servers at 4,000, because you have to buy the stuff and the software and everything and fix them.
Correct.
Phase two is replacing the existing cameras,
Just the analog.
just the analog ones, so that when a kid gets hurt on the playground, like they did a couple years ago, and I can see people.
Correct.
Won't just be little black blobs running around. I couldn't even tell the adults from the kids.
Correct. And they'll be IP based and not analog based.
Okay, great. And then, so what was phase three?
So phase three was the additional. So there was, trying to find the number, 14, I believe, additional cameras, which based off of the quote was about 8,200 for the cameras. And then the licensing is, it's like a 4-pack for $365, so we would need 4 packs, 5 packs, 4 packs. And then I estimated that, and then we would need runs, the Ethernet runs for them. And I believe that was around 8,200. So to add the additional 14 cameras, which I did a walkthrough with Dan and with Chris Snyder, saw where they wanted to put the cameras, and it did make sense.
So you did actually tour it with people?
We did.
Okay,
So ultimately, again, and these are rough numbers, probably more towards the high end than what it really is gonna be. Could be anywhere from 22,000 to 27,000 altogether.
exactly, so
So
that.
how much for just for the additional cameras? and licensing?
About 8,200.
Okay.
So hang on just a second, Jim, I just wanted to ask him one more question, then I'm gonna cut it loose.
Yeah.
What was the original quote amount?
I want to say it was like 36,000.
And you got it down to what if we did everything?
Between 22 to 27.
And how much would the total cost be if we just replaced the existing cameras for now and fix the servers with your in-house fix?
So phase 1 and 2 would be anywhere from 14 to 19,000.
Okay, so I want the facilities committee to hear that I'm recommending that we need to fix the cameras. So I'm recommending that Gordon reduce the amount expended from the original request of 36,000 down to 15,000 to see what he can get done. And then if he needs to do more than 15,000, he and I will have a conversation in the next budget cycle.
Well, I just got confused on that one now.
Okay.
You just came in at 27, you're not at 15.
That's for
I'm saying don't add the new cameras yet.
Oh,
He wants to add the new cameras. Well,
isn't that defeat the whole purpose?
no, so there's two purposes. One is safety, and Pete, that's a great question. One is safety, and the other purpose is monitoring the playground for information regarding student behavior. Right, so-
I call, I mean, I'm gonna call them both all the
They're both
same, you know, I mean,
but-
the kid's behavior because he's smacking some other kid, there's a safety.
Exactly, but typically for the K-3 school age level, videos are checked for the playgrounds.
Okay.
For purposes of the playground.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just, you know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say that now I'm willing to go walk through this with Dan and other people. I'd like to see where the other locations of the additional cameras are myself, and I just can't get to that right now. But I do need those playground cameras replaced. That's a need, not a want. They don't work.
Right, and this all stemmed from the failure of the original system.
Yeah, I don't like Band-Aid effects.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of why I broke it up into 3 parts so that, you know, you can see to replace what we have existing and then to do the additional.
See, here's the other thing. We're not solving the problem. If the problem is,
Partially,
you
yeah.
see what I'm saying?
We're solving the problem that Tom had immediately.
Right, the immediate problem is that the playground cameras are horrible.
The rest of it can go into CIP.
If that's what you want to do, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I just think cost effectively, just the time we're putting in here and having the people already there on site, you're probably gonna save money. You know, I mean.
Well, you guys are doing the work, right?
We're hoping to do a lot of it, and that's why I'm kind of waiting for some actual numbers, because a big part of the initial quote was labor. And the internal cameras, whether they're analog and we need to replace them to the IP, or if they're additional, we can do that all ourselves. The only thing we would need on the labor side is to have a wire run. You know, so that's why I'm waiting for real numbers. These are kind of based off what I was able to pull out of the quote. And I'm assuming these numbers are gonna be lower because we're gonna be doing a lot of work ourselves.
So when you say
The
15,
wire running, at what phase do you need that? The beginning?
We will need it in phase 2 for the analog cameras.
Okay.
And then all for phase 3, every
Okay.
additional will need one.
But my question now is that, isn't it cheaper to just pull all the wire for all phases at one time instead of pulling it, popping ceiling tiles?
Yeah,
put 'em in
absolutely.
place? I mean, just do.
I mean,
all the
it's
wiring in one
only an
shot.
additional 14, so if that's, you know, if we are gonna be able to do these additional 14 cameras,
You
then
should be pulling it all. at the same
exactly.
Does the wire go different places or does it run down the same channel?
time. It will go to different places. for
Yeah,
different
they all end up at the same spot. They end up in that,
It's both,
arc room,
it's both.
but,
Because they all go to the same spot.
They
So
all
like they'll open
terminate.
all that up and then they've got to go to different areas.
They all terminate at the
Yeah,
same spot.
they all terminate at the same.
but they'll take, you know, 5 or 6 boxes of wire, attach them to a rod and run 5 or 6 at a time down the ceiling,
Right.
you know, which saves them time. And it probably, I don't know if they reduce the cost of the running. I know they're cheap as it is running the wires, but I don't know if they reduce it. If we're doing 4 and they're going down the same way,
We might as well pull them all.
but do they charge the same amount? I don't know if they charge cheaper if
It
they're,
may be cheaper because they're still, the labor's still there to pull the wire, they're just adding wire to the
Right.
window as they're pulling it, so there may be a discount.
right, so, exactly.
So what the team is trying to figure out is it cheaper to do it all at once, or what's the cost differential? And this is, we get stuck in the mud with this all the time. I'm just saying that we have a board meeting in a week, and I'm recommending as the superintendent, I need those cameras to work on the playground. If people want to do more in this group, I'm fine with that, because it is probably cheaper to do it and get it done. And Gordon has worked really hard to whittle this down per our conversations earlier this year. And everything else has taken precedent, like the Bakey boiler, so Gordon couldn't get back here, so I wanted this dealt with first. So what do y'all want to do? What's your?
Can
What are your
I
thoughts, Jeremy?
say something real quick? Sure. Should we talk about the supplies line?
Yeah, Gordon has some money in his supplies line, so I told him to get the servers up and running, because we have to be able to record video. That's I didn't want to wait, and that one's easy. It's the cameras that I need the guidance on.
So to me, what we need to understand is, do we intend to get them all or not? So to me, it's not phase one, phase two, is do you intend to get them all or not? Electronics are very difficult to get right now. Inflation is up to 5%, the most recent information coming out, and electronics are going to get higher, not lower in the near future. So if we're going to do it all, within a year, it's better to buy them now and secure them at the lower, well, no, lower is the right word, at a cost position that is only going to get worse in the foreseeable future with the global crisis on semiconductors and electronic parts.
Yep.
We're learning that all day long at work, and it's not going to let up in the next 8 to 10 months. So if in fact that's something that we think we need to do, to me, that's the question. Do we need to do it or not? Because if we're going to need to do it within 12 months, it's probably better to just bite the bullet. If we're not going to need to do it within 12 months, then I'd say go ahead and proceed with Tom's recommendation.
So the $8,200, Gordon, for phase three, that's for the cabling and the 14 cameras and the licensing.
Correct, so I have it down at about $580 per camera. So that's the actual camera price, the price for the run of the Ethernet cable, and then the license itself.
And to answer Jamie's question, Jim.
Yeah.
I would agree with Jamie that if Dan and Gordon, I trust them, if they walk the building, Dan did it first. I had Gordon do it second to double check it. I'll go over and look at it too, but I would think the answer is at least 85% yes. Like, I don't think Dan and Gordon both checking it and saying, yeah, this is where we need cameras, that I'm gonna go over there and say no, right? Like, I might say no to 1 or 2, but it's not gonna be, I'm fine with that. I think we are gonna need to do them within the next year. That building is woefully inadequate with regard to cameras. It is. It's just old. It's Bakey. We talk about Bakey every meeting. It's a great school. I love it, but.
One hopefully last question. To do the whole thing, you're looking at an additional $8,200.
2,200, yes.
$8,200.
On top of, yeah,
Well, you're already, I think we're all in agreement, we have to do those, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking $8,200.
Yeah, we're talking
For the
27,000.
expansion, yes.
To difference between what our decision has to be today and call it all the nuts and bolts is $8,200.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we do the whole project.
Okay.
Up to $2,500.
25,000.
1,000, right.
Is that gonna be enough?
Yeah, I think that.
I think we'll be able to get there, and if not, we can use.
I was gonna say 30 just to cut, you know me.
Well, I have.
Doesn't mean we're gonna spend it, it just means we've got to, you don't have to call us back and say, guess what? It went to $25,050.
No, I think what Jim's trying to say is use 25,000 out of this year's funds to try to get it done. And if we need to do a little bit more, or I think Gordon's gonna, once he gets into it, he's gonna be able to whittle it back.
I just don't want to come back and
Gordon's
revisit
being
this whole
careful,
thing.
you know?
I don't want to come back and revisit this whole
We're
thing.
not going to.
For $500.
We're not.
This is the latest one I got.
Yeah, that's
Gordon
fine.
says it's still got money in the supply line.
Probably,
so
yeah.
it's built it.
Okay.
We got it. We got
Yeah,
it.
okay.
25 is fine.
Because they've gone up.
Second,
Like that much, so.
all in favor?
All right.
All right. Thank you. So we're gonna have 25,000 plus what you have in your supply line if you need it.
Okay.
be super conservative, work hard, whittle down the prices, really do your thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I'll
you and I
let you
will
know when I get the physical quotes.
Yeah.
I'll let you know where we stand.
You and I will just meet and talk and we'll get this done, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Take it.
I don't mean to be chop, but I really got some things I need to get done this year, and I pulled him out of other really important meetings, so I want to be effective here. So I'm gonna go right on to the memorial parking lot. Dan has a schematic for you. Matt Angel, I spoke to, and he strongly recommends doing the memorial parking lot. He feels like it needs to be redone. We have discussed this at previous meetings, and I know that many of you recognize that it's got a lot of issues. But Dan just wanted you to have some visuals. Dan, I think the estimate came in between 75 and 100,000.
Yes, so I have two estimates already, for memorial, for page 2 and 3.
Oh, wait, you gave them, oh, memorials, page 2.
Page 2 and 3.
Page 2 and 3. Page 1 is vacant. We're gonna do that in a minute.
Yep.
Thanks, Gordon.
Yeah, thank you, Gordon.
So for memorial, we have the front entranceway, which is terrible along West Main Street. We have to do something there. Cars are bottoming out and the buses are getting into the mud.
And they need the parking up there too.
Yes, so if you look at the drawing there, we've added 4 parking spots down each side there of that island. We'll have to designate those handicap spots because technically right now, we don't have adequate handicap parking for the main entrance.
But you're not messing with my tree.
No, tree
Because
will
I
stay.
love that tree in
Yeah,
front
tree
of the
will stay.
school. All right, all right.
If you flip the page, there's an overview on the last page as far as what we want to do to the property altogether. So we have the main entrance, add parking, replace the asphalt all the way to the back mid-building.
Oh, yeah.
And then we want to add, if you see where the basketball court is, it's kind of faded out there.
Yep.
We need to put an apron in front of the garage door there because whenever we get pallets of paper or floor cleaning material,
Yep.
it's mud there and the forklifts just sink into the mud and we're ending up unloading everything by hand and loading it back up.
Jamie, you know where that is, right near the portable? You toured that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then if you go a little bit further down, we have a section there where I have remove alongside the building that parallels it. What's happening there is we get snow melt off the roof, and because we have split systems in the classrooms, when they drop their condensation on the asphalt there in the wintertime, it immediately freezes up. So we're getting kids that are constantly dumping, falling on the ground there when they leave the building to go to the music modular out there. And I think, didn't they have an injury where a kid broke her wrist, I think, last year slipping on the ice out there?
I don't remember.
But no matter how much we salt it and stay on it, since that condensation from the splits units are still always leaking there, it just ices right back
So
up.
what does that mean, remove?
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut that asphalt there that runs right into the building, take out about a 4-foot swath there, and then just backfill it with some gravel and some
Crushed
crushed road. Yeah, so when it drips off the building or the split units, it
It'll go
just
into the
absorbs right
Yeah,
into the
that makes
ground.
sense. I know that spot.
Then if we wrap around to the old entrance, I have remove add there. That's the concrete sidewalk going into the main entrance. That concrete there is spalling so badly
It's
that it's a trip hazard. And concrete just is not very good to use in the northeast here. So what we're gonna do there is remove that concrete there and put asphalt down going to the old entrance. Then if you look on the opposite side of the gym there, I have add. That door there that comes out of the gym is an egress, and by fire code, we are supposed to have a sidewalk that goes from any egress paved to another paved surface. So I'm just trying to make that code there. Because if you have handicap, and they don't plow in the winter or anything, so it's, you have snow piled up against the door, the kids can't get out.
Well, that's also, are you talking about the side off the gym with the little square on the grass?
Yeah, that's that little shed
Rectangle.
over there where the,
That's also, just so everyone knows, there's a big double door there to the gym.
yes,
It's used for all kinds of stuff with the kids too. It's not just service, entrance, and delivery.
but it is an emergency egress.
It
And
is.
in the wintertime, we can't use it because the snow piles up there. So I'm just trying to get that up to fire code there. And then I have a little box there that says fix. That blacktop there is so broken
That's the
out, they would
spot.
cut that and just put a big patch in there. And then they would seal coat everything. If you look at the very top left corner, I'm seal coating from that point there, going all the way down to all the way around the school and to the road that goes in, which is, what's the name of that road that parallels the train tracks there?
Crane Crossing?
Yes. So, so that will all be seal coated. So I got two.
So no removal?
Oh, yeah, so the front entrance there, see
No,
what I
no,
have
I'm
the
talking
little-
about in that seal coating strip that goes down toward the back there.
No, none of that. At this point, it's all pretty stable. We're just gonna seal coat to that line behind the school there.
So the actual paving,
Actual paving will be where it's the fixed box is,
yeah,
adding the sidewalk on the right side of the gym, removing and adding the concrete sidewalk going to the old entrance, adding blacktop to the apron where the storage shed is on the left side, and adding blacktop to the front horseshoe loop going to midway to the back of the school there.
Wait, did you just go on to Bakey?
No?
Nope.
No, okay, you still, okay, sorry.
all right, so when you say 75 to 100,000, what's the?
So Petra Paving, who we used here at the high school, they did very good work. For that job, came in at 48,646.
Oh, wow.
For Brock's Paving, they came in at 74,950.
Oh, let's hire them.
Oh, yeah, and I'm still waiting for Cassidy
That's my
Paving.
brother-in-law.
I'm still waiting for Cassidy Paving to come in. They're supposed to get it to me today. I don't think that's gonna happen. We have some
Yeah.
Davis-Bacon issues we were trying to take care of as far as Scal goes.
So give me 1 second before we move on.
Yes,
What
sir.
I'm asking the facilities committee to do is to discuss and then make a recommendation, and Dan will bring forward the lowest bid to the board next Wednesday. So if this other company comes in below the 48 grand, then fine, and if they don't, he should have it any minute. Then we just go with the lowest bidder.
I've,
Well, I'm sorry.
yeah, I've driven Memorial and I think that place is ready. I do. It's in rough shape.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, the prices I have for that are, they're 4 months old, so, you know, within that 4 months, material may have gone up in price.
Right.
So the 48,000 is a good ballpark, but there may be a couple thousand up and down.
Yeah, sure.
The other thing I have done already too is I've already secured the building permit from the state to do the front of Memorial, so I have the permits
Oh,
already from the
great,
state.
great.
So we're ready to do that. The only thing we have to do is pull the permit with the town of Newton, and I'll let the contractor do that when we're ready to roll. So I have the state permits in place already for this project.
The other company you haven't got the bid on, reputable company?
Yeah, they're one of the biggest in Massachusetts.
Okay,
So,
all right. The reason I say, we've dealt with Petra, and we know Petra.
yeah, we do, and they do good work. And like I said, they did the high school here last summer, and they
That's
did a
what I'm
really good
saying.
job, so.
And that's a firm price. That's no, I mean, that's a set price. That's not,
Well, it's 4 months old, so.
no, I know, but other than that, I mean, there's no
Oh, God,
additional
this is
cost to
4
that.
months is forever.
No, at this point, no, and that was the seal coating and the patchwork and the blacktop and removal and everything, so that should be out the door.
When they gave, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just, no, go ahead.
When they did this place, did they come in with any add-ons?
No.
Okay, well, I mean, historically, that's,
Yeah.
it's like when you do your roof,
Yeah.
gee, the sheeting popped out. and we
Yeah,
didn't
that
get-
summer, they, when I walked them around when we did this project, I told them exactly what I wanted done,
Right,
and they did it. In fact, they did a couple of extra things, like move the granite curving on.
They did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, okay,
It looks
no, that's
fantastic.
fine, but
Yeah.
historically, there's always, you know, gee, this culvert's gotta be
Yeah.
moved, sorry.
So, yeah, so that's where we're at with Memorial at this point.
Jamie,
Yeah, I always thought 75 was a high number for my drive-throughs in Memorial. 50 is a much more reasonable number. You know, there was at one point in time when we had to dig everything up and reset it. This is seal coating, and I think seal coating is going to work. So I'm okay with the lowest quote.
Well, they will be digging up the front horseshoe area though.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
front of the school
yeah.
to the back.
In that
Well,
fixed
they were
area,
talking about
fixed
that whole
area.
fixed area being longer than that at one point in
Yeah,
time.
yeah, we were, yeah.
okay, so motion to approve up to 49,000.
Come on, Jimmy, that's you.
Yeah, I can second that.
Okay,
Okay, all in favor?
aye,
All right, thanks. So let's talk about Bakey now.
Okay, now Bakey, the front page there, the reason why it's so much higher is because the lot is a lot worse at Bakey than it is at Memorial, believe it or not. So let's start at Bakey at the front entrance. What I got separate bids for proposing parking in the very front horseshoe loop there for handicap parking. It's a little bit closer to the front entrance.
Oh, yeah, I see
The
that.
thing we would have to do, or I would have to do, is I would have to get with the town of Kingston, because Bakey's in the historic district. So I might have to take some extra steps to get approval
For that,
for that. That's just an assumption at this point. I don't know if they'll balk on it or not, but I need to talk to the town of Kingston on that. Then where I have add right there at the front door, there is a step that goes into the front door. So with that, I'm doing there is I'm taking blacktop and I'm feathering it up to the same level of the front door, so we can use that as our handicapped entrance, because we don't have a handicapped entrance at Bakey except for the center entrance. And that blacktop there is so broken up because of the large tree that's growing there now. It has heaved the blacktop and it's a huge trip hazard.
that's over on the right-hand side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have them feathering that up to the door. We'll have to do a little work ourselves. There's a metal edging on that doorway in the concrete slab. We'll have to cut that ourselves, break it out, and give them a nice fresh edge to run that blacktop to. But we could do that in-house. We'll just run a concrete saw and smash it out. Then if you go towards the front parking lot, you can see how I have those arrows pointing towards the parking lot. Everything needs to be removed from those arrows to the opposite side of the parking lot.
Wow.
That whole parking lot has totally given way underneath. I mean, they would have to tear that out and put a whole new sub base down, because they can't even blacktop the top of that. And all three companies I talked to said, no, don't you dare, because if you put new blacktop on this, within a year, it's all gonna collapse back in.
Oh, okay, because it
that
doesn't
all-
look as bad as Memorial, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah, you're right, but it's so settled in that they need to scrape all that off. They'll crush that blacktop and relay that blacktop down as a base and roll it, and then put the new blacktop on top. Then if you look further, I have an add there between the sidewalk that the police department made us put in some years back, and the parking lot is just dirt. I want to add blacktop there because when we plow the snow plows drop down into that mud area, and then they hit the side of that concrete slab, and they're blowing that slab out. So I want to make it blacktop from all the way through that parking lot to that concrete slab where that sidewalk is. Then what we'll do then is I'll put parallel parking there to act as a buffer to protect the kids that are walking down that sidewalk. And that will be feature parking. So those cars will be there the whole time, and not moving when kids are at the school.
Can I ask one thing?
Sure.
Part of this, or I just want to bring something to light. I think everyone needs to realize that currently Bakey uses the seminary parking lot for the Swayze gym as overflow. I don't know, and I'm not saying it'll be a problem, but it may become a problem later when it closes for the seminary, right? So we have to think about the fact that the Bakey parking lot is chock full. I can't park there when I go to visit. I have to park over at the seminary and walk over. It's full all the time. So that's just something to think about, that those additional spots are actually really important for that building because the parking lot's packed.
Yeah, that is correct, because on the opposite side of the building, we have people parking in the grass out there.
They do.
And they're rooming the lawn and making mud holes over there, making the.
Do they park in the back too, where the boiler is right
Yes,
now?
Yeah,
yes. The problem
everywhere.
is though, is we can't have them park there because they block the dumpsters, they block the trucks that come here for deliveries. Plus you're encroaching onto the playground area, and I don't want people driving around on the playground area. So back to the south end of the, or the north end of the school there. So I have blacktop added to the sidewalk. Then I have replaced there. That's that blacktop that goes to that side entrance there where the kindergarten, first and second grade wing is there, is all broken up. So I want to replace that also. So it's one continuous new blacktop slab going from the loop in front all the way to that door. Then if you see where the generator is at, that shed just to the north of the building there, I want to add blacktop going from there all the way to the back. And the reason why is it's gravel right now and we don't plow it in the winter. And from a safety standpoint, we really need to have 360 access to that building if there's an emergency. If we have a medical emergency and we need to get a stretcher from that front lot to the back there, from the exterior, we can't because there's no way they can do it. So I want to propose doing a blacktop sidewalk, 5 feet wide, going from the generator there to back where the playground is. You can see how I have it in red back there.
Yep.
I truly do think we need to have a paved service back
I
there.
actually agree with you. I've walked that often.
Then if you swing around to the very back, we have the basketball courts, and I have that red arrows pointing in the direction that needs to be replaced in that teacher lot.
So that little road from the basketball court to the teacher lot
Yes,
is
It's completely broken out.
Yeah.
And where I have the word replacing the teacher lot right there.
Yeah.
It is nothing but one, it looks like it's fine, but when you go over there and look at it, it is literally one huge pothole because every piece of blacktop is only like 4 inches by 4 inches.
so it's dipped and it's all
It's
cracked
not
like a
dip,
tile.
but it's just all alligatored and
Okay.
cracked. And it's, so, but all three companies actually said, yes, that whole south side of the parking lot to the basketball court needs to be tore out, grind up, a new base put in, and new blacktop.
Okay, so, questions.
Sure.
Historic district. Wetlands,
Not an issue since it's there already. We're just,
but you want to expand the paving.
Only in that area in the horseshoe.
just in the front there along the edge there, which shouldn't impact any of the wetlands in the area. It's literally a 8-foot wide swath just paralleling that sidewalk.
Now, when this came up, I went over there and I drove that whole parking lot, every bit of it. And I don't dispute what you're saying. But if we're gonna do Memorial, it seems to me the only critical part of Bakey right now, other than, yeah, that ramp, adding that ramp is probably important in the front there, is that hole in the middle of the lined parking area.
Mhm.
I don't know why that can't be cleaned out and filled and then paved over, and then we can get another year or two out of it and put it in the CIP plan. That's my thought.
I think Dan was addressing, I mean, I didn't realize that there were so many areas myself. Dan, just before we have that conversation, what's the cost to fix this?
Okay, so Petra came in at $117,096, and Brock's came in at $163,100.
Okay.
And once again, I'm still waiting on Cassie to get back with me. So on your low end, you have 117, high end 163.
And what would, I heard you say early in the presentation to Jim's question that the companies told you that they wouldn't be able to just resurface the area in the parking lot. I'm looking at the map in this direction, this area right here to the left.
Yes.
That just filling that in and blacktopping it wouldn't really be effective because, what was the reasoning again? You said
Because
it
the
quickly.
subsurface is completely washed away. So even if they cut a big hole and just patch that pothole that's in the middle,
Yeah,
there is no subsurface to support it. So within one winter, it's all just gonna collapse right back in again.
so what's underneath it?
It's mush. It's literally mud. When they built that parking lot originally, they never put a good subsurface.
So what they're recommending is ripping out the whole parking lot.
They're recommending ripping out that whole parking lot, taking the blacktop that's there now, grinding it up, making it into a gravel again,
Right.
removing some dirt out of there and putting that ground up blacktop back down, compact it, and then put a whole new layer over it.
Okay.
So they'll recycle the material that they're taking from there.
But nobody gave us a price on what it would cost just to dig out that area and pave that section.
Yeah, just pave that one area is what you're asking.
Okay.
The whole front lot? or
No,
a
just
patch?
that,
I didn't even go there because I just thought it really. was a
because
few
all I'm
things.
saying is, this is a lot to bite into for, one season.
Yeah.
If you feel that way, then I think the best thing for us to do is just we'll go buy some patch and throw it in there ourselves and roll it over
Wait
a
a
couple
year.
times with the truck. And just, because if we spend the money with Petra or any of these to cut a big hole and patch it and spend that.
Oh, if we
money,
can
it's
do it
just gonna
ourselves,
go-
even better,
What's that?
even better.
I mean, if that's what we want to do, wait a year, then I would suggest that we just kind of do it in-house and we'll see if we can
I just have to, I'd like to hear what Pete and Jamie think too, because I'm a little bit surprised at how bad the other parking lot is. Like, I don't understand that, and I'm not a parking lot guy, but I do agree with you, Jim. It's quite a bit of money, but on the other hand, it's bad. So well, anyway, what do you think, Pete? I want to hear it.
A couple things. We've just identified problems. Public record. Coincidentally, there's a private road on the condo I just bought, and the lady was walking down, she fell and cost us $150,000. So what you're saying is, we have identified a problem that we may not fix, and I would love to be the lawyer on that one. The capital improvement plan is just that, it's a capital improvement plan, it's not the money, it's just that, in our capital improvement plan, within the next 5 years, we're gonna resurface, so it's not the money. I gotta tell you, I wish I had a nickel for every time I walked over that place, because I had kids at the Bakey and because I worked across the street. It's a clusterfuck, it's a mess. I don't want it to be the seminary someday, and that's what this is the beginnings of the seminary driveway. These things have been pushed off and pushed, and it's one of my main things in this all the years I've been on, actually in the school district. We're gonna do it, we just push down, and we end up making just a huge tsunami. And now we're at the tsunami end where it's coming on shore. We should have stopped the earthquake before it happened. We gotta bite the bullet on these things eventually. I mean, I'll tell you, I almost wish we hadn't talked about this if we're not gonna fix it, because I think our ass is really hanging out there. Some kid comes out that spot and trips and falls and breaks a leg or hurts himself. Or there's snow there and the ambulance says, okay, it took an extra 20 minutes to get to that kid. Well, that's pain and suffering. I'm very big on liability, because that's what I was taught as a selectman. The number one responsibility is to protect the town from liability. That stuck with me all those years when Berkey said that 25 years ago now. So that's how I feel. Get these things over with, fix them permanently, so we're not fighting these things in another couple of years with a whole new board. Whatever you want to do, I won't be on the board after March, so. If you want to push it off, I won't have to vote either way.
So, some concerns. So you mentioned this back area.
Correct.
You can't do anything with it because you get down, there's all mush underneath it. I think you're gonna run into grandfather problems. You pull that up and now there's mush underneath it, that's a wetlands, and you no longer have grandfather rights because you just took all the pavement out of it.
Really?
I think you might have.
No,
I don't think so.
I wouldn't go with that.
Well, we can find out before we do it.
Yeah,
Like, we'll ask, I don't want that to happen.
We need to make sure, because stranger things have happened.
Oh, it's like the air conditioning
This is-
conversation,
this
right?
is-
Duct work and taking roof ceilings
Yeah.
down.
This is a repair of an existing system.
Right.
It's not that you're starting new, right?
You might get into
So
trouble
I don't even know if
for adding
grandfather
spots on the board,
would come into it, because this is repair, not replace, all right? I mean, it's replacing as far as hot dog
though.
goes.
Except for the spots in the front and in the horseshoe.
If we were
Those are new.
expanding towards that wetland, then I, you may be right, don't get me wrong,
That's my
but,
concern.
yeah.
I think logically, it makes sense that it should not be impacted. I know when it comes to EPA things, logic isn't the primary thing that gets looked
I
at.
don't know if the EPA would be involved in it.
No, it's asphalt. It's asphalt. It's got oil in it. It's oil-based.
Yeah, but I don't think EPA.
So many people forget that asphalt and plastic are oil-based.
Right.
So, when I look at it, I think that there are some parts that need to be fixed, but I'm not sure on everything that's on the list. These replacing ads going on the back side here, I don't see those as being critical needs. I understand the reasons why we're saying that. I mean, if there was an emergency, you're talking about pretty little kids. I mean, it's not like you're talking about somebody my size that you gotta roll out.
Oh, no, there is. I'm more worried about emergencies with the adults. I'm not worried about the kids. I'm worried about getting some of these teachers out of there. I can tell you that would be a problem. I didn't think of this, Jamie, and I haven't seen this until literally right now. And I'm saying that if we don't do anything, I feel like we have to make that safety conduit there and replace that ramp at the front of the school. Those are must-dos, right? The upper left-hand corner with the ad, and the ad at the front with just to create, handicap access. Because the handicap access on this side is really kind of convoluted, right? And it won't cost much, and it's gotta be fixed anyway in that entryway. It's pretty bad. So I actually just wanna push back a little bit and say, it's a long way from the back of that building to the parking lot if you have to go through the whole building.
And it's an incline.
And it's an incline. The way the building's set up with those weird ramps in the middle, it's really, really convoluted. So I actually agree with Dan on this one. I haven't seen this before, but I do agree that that is a safety concern that I hadn't considered.
Now,
But you guys do what you want. I just want you to know how I feel.
as I have two additional kind of sidebar things. I am getting bids right now. We're adding that sidewalk in that back corner.
Mhm.
I'm getting a bid to have the concrete steps replaced in that door well that goes in.
Yeah, I know exactly what
because
you're talking about.
The steps have completely blown away. I'm also getting a bid to have the steps and the loading dock replaced also, because we literally have jagged metal hanging out that a kid can catch themselves on from the toe edges of the
Yeah, those
steps.
old concrete toe edges, yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So I'm working on that now. The tree in the very front where you go into the middle entrance is a huge tree, and it's got a big crotch in the middle of it. And if it goes, and it will go because the ants are eating it like crazy, it's gonna go across the power lines and the other half is gonna go across the roof. The roots from that tree are poking through that
All the
blacktop
concrete.
that goes into that.
So we're gonna lose that beautiful tree.
As much as I hate it.
I can't even believe we're talking about this. I
know,
love that
as
tree.
much as I hate it, we really need to think about losing that tree because it's a power line issue and it's a roof issue with that tree goes. And if you go over there and look at that tree, it's splitting right down.
Well, if
the
we
middle.
lose it, we're planting a new one and we're calling it the Pete Broderick.
There we
Tree.
go.
There you go. I'm all for putting another tree.
I just don't
there,
like
believe
having
me,
the
but-
front of the school be bare, you know what I mean? Like having some kind of a tree.
But it's something we need to think about, because if we're gonna replace that blacktop going to that middle entrance, if we're gonna do it right, we really should remove that tree and put fresh blacktop down, because that tree's gonna continue to eat
Oh,
that
yeah.
blacktop there.
I wanted to keep hearing.
Roots don't get small.
I'm doom and gloom, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I really am.
No, you're not. Look, when I was hired here, the first thing I thought is I'm gonna have a heck of a battle to figure out how to fix the fact that no one did the things that they were supposed to do for 20 years in the school district.
20.
Well, more than 20, but
Look at the old seminary driveway.
yeah, that was the first thing.
I mean, honestly, in another week here, I want to do an
Thankfully, we
audit
didn't
of all
put
the
any
schools and bring it to you
Huh?
guys, and
And
it's probably gonna be
thankfully,
very
we didn't put any
disturbing, but I
money
think.
We'll do that later. So what do you want to do?
What's the projected timeline on the Sanborn, on the seminary?
I got an email just 2 days ago from Matt, their Matt, not Matt Angel. They have a guy named Matt. And he said that they are hoping to have it closed by November. The sale
Well,
closed
permits by
November.
November.
No, they're hoping to have it closed. I'll forward the email.
I
to all
read
of you.
it. He said permits by November, closed by December.
Oh, thanks, okay, yeah.
So, but then you've got what, to rent it is a year and a half,
Yeah,
something like that, I would expect. So I would be adding parking right now. So we're expanding
Oh, I
this,
hadn't
right?
thought of that, you're right. If
I
they're
would be
parking
adding
across
parking
the
right now, you
street.
still have it across the street, but when that goes, you might have to make another assessment, and it might be that assessment makes these irrelevant at this point in time for an investment.
And really, the only place you could expand in the parking here is if you look at that front lot where I want to put that ad where the sidewalk is to expand that lot closer to that home next door. Because if you look at that island on the south side of the parking lot where I have replaced, that's the septic field. So you can't.
what about
remove
where the
that.
tree is?
I'm sorry?
What about where the tree is that we were talking about? That, some of that could be.
I think
No,
in the
no,
future, you get rid of the horseshoe.
it's minimal.
That's
It's one
what I'm
spot
thinking.
if you were to do it.
Right, you come in with the
Yeah.
teachers are
You want-
parked,
you
you
want
come
to
in
buy-
with the
you
sign.
I'm looking at the loop
I don't
in
know
the
if
front of
people
the
go with
school.
that.
Yeah, so
You
if
got
you're
a
looking at
nice
the
front
school right
facade
here,
now.
you could expand
Right
like
on
the
Main.
outdoor classroom
I
is
say
here.
Okay, but what
My
about,
opinion,
what
the
about right
historical never
the
let
front
you do it.
loop there?
That's
Yeah,
what
in
I'm
there.
thinking of.
There's no parking
So-
that could be that.
Well, I was hoping to add handicap parking there, but once again, you might be dealing with some historic issues.
Oh,
because we're in a
big time.
Historic district, so I think if you add parking there, you would have a huge outcry from the citizens here.
So I have an idea. Can I just throw one out because we're getting down to the wire here. We've got a meeting at 4. what if we did the horseshoe and the parking lot to the left in front of second grade kindergarten? Right, that would be this section. What if we did the horseshoe?
What do you mean did it? What are you talking about?
What if we repave or do what needs to be done?
You're not gonna change the horseshoe.
Well, no, I think we should wait. I think that's expensive to
I
change it.
can't see the historic people.
Well, even if they
We call it
don't, but if
hysterical for a
we,
reason.
but in terms of functionality, to get through the next year, this horseshoe, fixing this and doing the stuff over here and the walkway is really what needs to be done. That's the safety part, but the problem is then you've got nice brand new tar at a school on half the building and the other half is super old and all cracked up. I don't know I can't advise you guys on a halfway plan on
Commercial
this.
property does that all the time. They do
Yeah.
things in.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Okay,
it's been done, well, hey, this pavement here in the horseshoe in front of Beatty was done, what, 6 years ago?
Can we not do that right now then?
We're not doing the horseshoe.
Oh, okay,
The
so we're gonna hold
horseshoe's
off on the horseshoe.
Yeah, that's not being repaved, that's just gonna be seal coated. Same
That's
thing here
not part of
along the
the plan.
building here, that's just gonna be seal coated.
So what if we allocated a similar amount of money, like $45,000 or $50,000 to repairing and dealing with Beatty for safety concerns, with a focus on the front left parking lot, looking from the seminary, and any safety additions like the added walkway for safety concerns, and just kind of,
Are you adding parking?
we're not adding parking.
Then if Shinburn says, don't park in my muddy area, where are the teachers gonna park? No way you're gonna park on Main
Well, we
Street.
could add those 6 spots on the left.
Okay, no, I'm just saying, I agree with
Yeah.
Jamie 100% on that.
Yeah.
I say do the whole damn thing personally, but
Yeah,
whatever you know.
I'm just trying to find a middle ground to help.
Well,
I mean, I agree, I think that.
no, that's all right,
is a
that's
good
all right.
idea,
It's
but-
just that I think we have to add some parking.
No, please, don't hear me wrong. If money wasn't an object, I would just do the whole thing because
Money isn't enough.
And I think if you go to the south end of the school, you're starting to deal with easements as far as watershed and everything else there with the tree line.
Yeah.
Even if you go to the back of the school, we might be dealing with some conservation issues back there.
but that's 2 years away. We can add later. I mean, we could add the parking lot, sorry. If you can get those ones in the horseshoe, I would do that in a minute. But I don't know if they're gonna let you, but I think we should try.
I think from the standpoint of making it handicap only, I think we really need to, because accessibility. is
It's a
what we
problem
really
at that
need to
building,
do.
for sure.
Because as you know, when you go to the school, all the parents park on the inside of that horseshoe, and it's a bear getting in and out of there, and.
So we've got like 5 more minutes. Do you guys wanna come back to this one next week? Because we're gonna have to meet about those pumps.
Next
anyway.
week, I won't be here.
You're gonna be gone all week.
Well, I'm leaving, I don't know when the hell we're leaving, to tell you the truth right
Okay, so we have a
now.
board meeting Wednesday. You won't be there.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not.
Okay, all right.
She's gonna.
Wait, you're not gonna drive back for the board meeting?
Well, I'm not even sure what day we're going now. I mean, she's
Okay.
got me so, we all got one of these at home, right?
Hey, I'm not saying a word about that on a video.
Wait a minute, okay.
I'm partial to Tom's comment of why don't we push this up and match what we're doing at Memorial? And Dan figure out what is the proper thing to do without a lot of money, and then we say what we do next.
I think that's fine. I mean, I don't disagree with Pete, Jamie, that just doing it and being done with it is bad, and we are gonna have a significant amount of money at the end of this year, but there are other things that I know about that we'll be discussing privately later. So I'm aware of some money things that I can't share publicly right now because they're not public information.
Secret stuff behind the scenes.
No, it has to be
Yeah, okay.
non-public by law,
you know,
sorry.
You wonder why we don't have confidence in superintendents.
I know.
All right, what's this idea, Dan? What have you really got going on with him? You can
All
tell
right.
us.
So Jamie, you gonna make
I
a
got
motion?
nothing.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we, what did we say on, no, 49?
49.
So, I move that we have $49,000 for Dan to prioritize based upon safety focused on the left-hand side of the building.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. Is that gonna be sufficient to do what we need to do?
Well, let me do this. I'm gonna, if we wanna go with Petra, who we used here, who was low bid, let me contact them tomorrow and see if we can get a fresh bid on this.
Not only
Because
that,
of the
but maybe
time.
do it at the same time, because they're only going down the street.
Do what?
They, both jobs.
They're both at the same time, they're only gonna have to go down the street.
Well, yeah, that's what I got these bids for
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Memorial and Beatty.
Okay.
But if we're just looking at Beatty at this point, and I can also get another bid to add on to that parking lot, to the left there, just as a reference.
So I think what Jamie's motioning is this group authorizes us up to $49,000, and you and I will talk and try to figure out what the best thing to do is. And if for some reason that's not enough, we'd have to call a meeting and talk about it, right? But we're gonna try to make it work for that. How's that sound? I think we can do a lot for that.
Yeah,
Okay, very good.
All right, so
all
we
in
need a vote.
favor?
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you. So it looks like the pumps are next week. Do you want to take 5 minutes to talk about pumps, or is that waste of
Yes,
time?
because I won't be here next week.
Okay, all right, all
So I'm
right.
gonna give them my 2 cents now. And the analogy I came up with, because I've been thinking about this for a month or so now. If I'm gonna replace a boiler in my house, and I had a couple of Bell and Gossett, you know, there was a big Bell and guy, right? I had a couple of Bell and Gossett pumps in there that have been in there for 60 years. And the plumber said to me, you know, they still work. I mean, there's 2 philosophies, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, or preventative maintenance. Well, I'm a veteran, so preventative maintenance. But I know that I would say, rip out those damn things and put in a couple of nice Tycos, and we're in good shape. They're what, 60, some odd years old now?
30,
Yeah, about 32 years old.
That's only,
they're end of life.
yeah, okay, all right, I'm gonna say, you know. So it's like, they're not gonna fail now. They're gonna fail in the middle of the 20 below zero, you know, and as soon as the other one has to kick in, say, well, we got a backup, we got 2, yeah, now you're taxing that one over. We got the insurance money, right?
Well, they don't know that. Let's talk about that.
Oh,
So
okay.
Dan worked with the insurance company and got $43,000 back. He got that today. Dan, can you talk about your talking points?
Yeah, I read number
He kind
one,
of jumped on this.
Yeah, so Travelers Insurance, who basically does the boiler portion for Primex, called me today and says, hey, we were able to find over $43,000 in money claimed to us for fixing the boiler and the rental. So they were gonna send that to Primex today, and then Primex will look at it and then send us the check. But, you know, Travelers does their work for them.
Yeah,
so
they recommend, yeah.
We'll probably, I'm gonna say 99.9% sure we're gonna get a check for over 43,000 on that.
Okay.
The other thing that we were talking about is when you replace the boilers, will they be more efficient alone? Yes, they will be a little more efficient, but not substantially enough to really matter. Now, when you add pumps, the boilers become more efficient now at that point because those boilers are not firing off all the time, because when you're dealing with variable speed pumps, you're constantly having that flow of water go through those zones in the building, and you're not causing that boiler to fire up every 10 minutes to heat that water from, from 150 degrees to 180 degrees.
Yeah.
So that's where you're getting your efficiency in the pump, plus you're adding longevity to those boilers also because they're not firing up as much. So, you know, they do help one another out as far as longevity of the equipment there. And then one of the bullet points there I have is, you know, the life cycle is, you know, they're old pumps, and we have one that's down now, and I'm sure we're gonna start getting this domino effect of pumps starting to fail on us. Now, is there a huge price of replacing pumps? Not really in retrospect. Depending if we rebuild a pump or replace a pump, it could be anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500 to replace a pump. Okay, so is there a cost? Absolutely, and we have 6 pumps at this point. I was working with Unitil also, was able to secure a $650 rebate on each pump for $3,900. It's not much, but it's a rebate that we are eligible for through Unitil. The other nice thing about the Grundfos pumps I have in here is that they are variable speed and they electronically talk to one another. They're really neat pumps in the fact that one pump will actually talk to the other one wirelessly, and they can make adjustments within themselves. We don't even have to do any wiring or programming ourselves. It's all built in within the pump where they actually function on their own as a huge unit. Grundfos claims, like I said, 60% energy, you know, savings. Ideally, that's ideal conditions. Conservatively, I'm sure 40 to 50% savings in electricity there.
And that's kind of what the company said.
Yeah, and that's what the contractor said. You know, under ideal conditions, yes, brand new everything, you're probably going to save 60%. But, you know, there are still some old equipment that we're still going to rely on in there. So efficiency will drop a little bit, but not a whole lot. I also have the life safety issue in there. I'll be honest with you guys, it scares the hell out of me whenever we get Mitch up there looking at those pumps every day. He's literally walking on planks that are balanced on those pipes up there. And we don't have any fall protection for him, and I'm just afraid we're gonna find him laid out on the floor one day dead. If we don't do these pumps, then we really need to rethink how are we doing these pump changes and inspections. We may have to build a catwalk system or something in there, just so it's accessible to us. There is a manufacturer warranties. When I was checking with the companies as far as maintenance programs with them, Granite State says, I won't even sell you a maintenance program for the first year on those pumps. Why spend the money on those when they're guaranteed for a year anyways? It'll all be covered by the manufacturer. So you're gonna save money there by not adding pumps to the preventative maintenance program. We wouldn't have to add them the first year on that program. So I just kind of want to specify that. Like I said before, variable speed, no hot cold spots, it's consistent heat through the building. And then once again, like Pete has brought up earlier, you know, if we do this a year from now, what are the labor costs going to be? Because you're going to have to pay more in labor because now we're retrofitting new pumps to a new boiler instead of doing it all at one time when they all can be done in one shot. So those are just a couple bullet points I just kind of wanted to, and it's nothing we haven't discussed already, but it's, you know, just kind of a reminder why I'm truly pushing for new pumps, obviously. Only because I think if we get some new pumps in there and new boilers, I really think we're set for the next 30 years as far as having a good a foundation there for even heat in the building.
So you're saying we're buying a new car, but if we don't place the pumps, we're putting used tires on it.
That's exactly the analogy I used to someone.
Is it really?
Yeah, I said,
Great
I'm
minds.
buying a new car, putting used tires on it, kind of a thing, you know?
So Dan, with the 43,000 and the 3,900, that's 46,900. And the pumps were 88,000, right?
Correct,
And we have to replace one of them anyway.
correct.
And how much was one? Well,
One pump?
one divided by, 88 divided by what? 6?
Well, kind of, but it's not comparable because
Well, I
it's
just
completely
let me do my
different.
math.
Yeah, no, I got it, I know.
Yeah,
You mean to replace the pump?
one pump. How much is one pump?
New or replace the one we that's down?
Replace,
Well, it depends on if we rebuild it or replace it.
replace it.
So you're talking anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500.
Okay,
$3,000.
all right, I'm gonna call it 2,500. Okay, so that's 6, 9, that's 0, that's 8. All right, so here's my math on this. So we've got to replace one of the pumps anyway, because or rebuild it, right?
Correct.
So I'm putting in $2,500, even though it might be less if we rebuild it. If you take the 46,900 that you got between 4,300 from Unitil, 43,000 from Travelers, and the 6,900 or 3,900 from Unitil.
Right.
Deduct that from the 88,000, that gives you 31,100. And if you take the 2,500 from that, it gives you 28,600. So that's our actual additional cost of putting in the new pumps, okay? Did you talk to Unitil about what our usage cost on the current brand of pump and at that horsepower?
Nobody will give me an answer because the pumps are so old that they won't, unless they actually hook up a meter to that pump for a 1-week period and actually calculate the usage on it.
Okay,
And we can't do that unless the system's running. We can't run the system because the boilers are cracked.
because our electricity numbers include hot water, all the lighting,
Well, hot water and the fact that it's propane.
Yeah.
But the pumps, the single pump that runs the hot water.
Is electric.
The hot water is electric. Yeah.
so it includes the pump for the hot water here, the electric for the entire building, and the electric to run the pumps for the boiler.
Correct.
So, and it's about
And device chargers, computers, I mean, it's.
everything. So,
Yeah,
so,
the overall.
and it was about 3,000 a month roughly, a little bit more,
Well, depending on the months.
depending on the
yeah,
month.
I mean,
I'm talking average.
Yeah, I mean, we had months that were 1,600 and months all as high as 4,000, you know, so. The 4,000.
We have 1 minute. We've got to hit this.
Yep.
We can
4,000 were in the
meet
winter
again.
months.
It's fine.
Yeah, so,
Kind of doing the bare math.
Yeah.
I figure about $750 to $1,000, I'm guesstimating a month on pump usage just during the winter months.
savings,
That we're
total
paying.
cost,
That
So
we're
you
paying
save around
and we're gonna save
That makes more sense.
50% of that roughly.
Yeah, 40.
50%
40,
of that.
50%. Okay, so that's what's going on in my head. Anybody else?
I don't buy into the servo numbers. I
You don't
we're
what?
gonna say 40 to 50%.
Okay,
I noticed that nobody's willing to guarantee a thing, that just give you a sales pitch for the upsell. I've seen servos installed dozens of times, just don't get it.
It's more about the maintenance and the longevity.
Well, I find that the maintenance on those are much higher than your standard regular pump, because.
Oh,
it's
yes.
loaded with electronics and everything else. I don't think you save anything in your life safety, because you're still gonna have to do your work, so you've got your pumps where your pumps are, we're not moving the pumps.
Well, no, we would move the pumps down if we replace them.
Oh, yeah, if we
That's
replace
part
the
of the
pumps,
plan, is to
all
move
that
them
high
down.
is coming down and it's going
Yes.
into a rack system along the wall that we can
Yes.
actually.
That way you can service
From the
them.
ground.
Right. That is part of the bid. That's part of the bid.
And then I'll retract that comment, but I know, we mentioned that, we're gonna save on the labor costs. I want all those costs, and I put them in my formula, because when I looked at what the savings are, even loading the savings, because we got data that said we're gonna save 50% on 36,000. Now I'm hearing that, well, we might spend 1,000 a month, that's 12,000, and 50% of that is 6,000. So
Right,
it's
well, that's why we were
18,000
saying-
savings.
Yeah.
We just dropped our savings by 2/3 in this discussion.
so the
All right, we gotta go.
savings.
We gotta go.
really aren't
I make a
factor.
motion. How much you want?
No, okay. I say we put the decision off till next week. We're gonna have another meeting, right?
Well, then we know that Pete's vote is to do it.
Yeah,
Well, how does that do as far as getting them in time? Another week and another week?
Well, right now, everything is being ordered. I think if we wait another week, we'll be okay with Granite State as far as doing it. So I don't think that the pumps weren't an
Will you
issue.
be here
getting
Monday?
those in, so.
I'll be here Monday.
All right, let's do it Monday. Let's meet Monday.
What time?
Can you meet Monday?
I'll have to check.
I'm pinning you down while I've got you right here, buddy.
Why don't we do it at the SAU office?
Can you adjourn? We
You're on
gotta
it.
go.
yeah,
Yeah,
meeting's adjourned.